expose the heater here. It is freezing cold in here. That was a varied thrush, and we just had one come to the feeder in the back there. Annie and I were having our little breakfast, and one of the varied thrushes came up to the feeder. So they're very beautiful birds. A lot of
Yeah.
fun. And that first little video of the snow on them, that's what it's
Yeah.
like. They're all out there in the snow. Honest to God, I don't know how they survive, but they do. Somehow they do. Because it gets cold, really cold. Okay, we are going to be moving on with move number 13. Um, a green dragon emerges from water. So why don't we start by doing the form a couple of times? I'll lead the first one. Catherine could lead the second one. Jill, are you familiar with this part of the form enough? Can you do the first 13 moves?
No.
Okay, so you
Yeah,
just
I would say I was really solid on the first six, and
okay.
that actually fell apart a couple of years ago.
Well, but that's what happens.
Yeah,
Everybody goes through these processes, and eventually you tie it all together. So
right.
I'll do the first one. Catherine can lead the second one, and then we'll work on move number 13. Okay?
Sounds good.
All right. That's the part of the form we'll work on, that last little bit that we'll work on later today. Okay, let's do the first section again because I need a good video of it. One more time. Okay, one more. Catherine, you lead. So say something so the camera goes on you.
Okay.
Be
Um,
brave.
what?
Be brave.
Yeah. I'm trying.
Oh, yeah, I must have made some noise. Catherine, say something so the camera goes back on you.
Hi. I'm lost.
Okay, Jill, you can do the first section, yes?
Um,
More or less. Good. Go ahead and
more
do
or
it.
less. You want me to do it?
What's that?
Or, I didn't hear you.
Oh, oh, I didn't hear you. Go ahead and say something so the camera goes on you.
Oh, okay. You want me to do the first six?
Do
Or
whatever you do,
as
whatever you know.
whatever I remember. Okay. I'll be brave. Also, I have to alter the quadrants because I have no side space. So uh may appear a little weird. I'm pretty sure I just missed a bunch.
Don't worry about it. Just keep going. Say something.
Something. Um, yeah.
Okay, so you're sort of falling apart there. Okay, so I didn't say anything, and I'm not going to say anything about either one of you. You all know where you are okay and where you're kind of falling apart. So each of you have a job, and your job is to fill in those spaces where you're not clear. Um, I'm going to find you a couple of videos that you can follow. So I'll try to find one of Master Zhang, of my teacher,
Mhm.
because his form was very simple, and his teaching form, and very straightforward. So it's very easy to follow. But I'll see if I can find some others too, right? So we are on move 13. We're going to finish move 13 today. We'll review it next weekend, but we'll finish it today.
Mhm. Oh, I was going to mention I still need to figure out a way to share the two videos I took of you in the studio. So
Oh, do you have a YouTube channel?
no, I would probably have to put it in Google, but I have to free up some space first.
Okay, well, go ahead and then let me know and I can
Mhm.
download it from Google. Okay, so let's look at move number 13 again. Green dragon emerges from water. Let me do the whole move. We've learned the first half. You actually know basically the second half because it's a repetition of a move we do earlier in the form. All right? But let me do it. I'll demonstrate it. I'll first do the whole move. Um, and then I'll break it down so you know the pieces and the parts. All right. Did you have some? Okay. Okay. So lean with back. Okay. So you actually know most most of this move, right? You know the first four punches, let's say five punches, because we did them last week. And then the next part, so let me demonstrate that. All right, so you start from lean with back, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now the next part, let me demonstrate that. We've already done that before. That's in the fourth move, 6 sealing and 4 closing. All right. So let me demonstrate. This is the third move. And here comes the fourth move. We're just repeating that. All right. So it's just exactly the same thing. Then it's going to change a little bit. So let's do the first two parts from last week. Backhand, temple, temple, point, side of the fist. Now repeat move number 4. Boom. Now we're going to move into a section of the move called double push hands. The question is how you get there, and it's a little more complicated. So the first thing you do is bring your foot in. All right? Bring your foot in, step back. Now, different people do it different ways, but we're going to do it my way. My way is the left side sweeps through. The left side sweeps through, and then the right side follows. And you end up like this. Now, you brush the chest. Catherine, you you look very serious. All right? You brush the chest. Watch. You brush the chest, and then your hands go out sideways. Brush the chest sideways. What you're going to do is use both hands to push someone. All right, watch. That's what you're going to do. The question is how you get there. It's not as obvious as it seems. Watch. I'm going to really slow it down and exaggerate some things. It's not together. That is not it. It's 1, 2. One, two. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Boom. Okay. So there's a lot of moving parts in here. If you can understand the overall geometry, it makes it easier. Let me demonstrate the whole form. Watch the geometry on the floor. I'm facing south. One, 2, 3, point 4. The first 3 punches were straight on that blue line. The last punch is not on that blue line, and it's not on that blue line. It's in a middle line. All right? That's a very small piece of tape, but that's what I've got there. All right? One, 2, 3. Point down the red line, hit down the red line. That's the first part of the move. The second part of the move is a repetition of move number 4. Big circle, pull back, wind up, and push. The third part is to shift from facing this direction to facing this direction. So I'm going to pull this foot in, step back, right? Left side, right side. Very simple.
No, it's not.
Right?
Especially by video, it's not.
It's very, very easy, right? I'll do it with my back to you. That will probably make it a little easier. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ceiling, 4 closing. Pull your right toes in, step up and back, left side, right side. See, that was very easy.
No, Malcolm, I mean, not to me. Can you do it from the back like you just did again, but
Sure.
even slower?
Sure. All right. Before we do it, everybody do this. Shake it out. All right. Relax. One, 2, 3, point, 4, 6 sealing, 4 closing. Right toes in, step up, left side, right side, brush the chest, open, 1, 2, 3. Let's do it again. One, 2, 3, point, 4, 6 sealing, 4 closing. Right toes in, step up, sink, left side, right side. Brush the chest, and 1, 2, 3. Got it?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I didn't. I'm just like, I don't know. My brain is like, it's winter, it's cold.
It's too cold. Your brain doesn't work. I, I know the
I don't
feeling.
know. I find this move quite difficult for me, but maybe it's just that it's Sunday night here, and you know.
It maybe it's because it's evening and you've had a long day already.
Yeah.
I think the way to this is I actually really like this move because the change in orientation is really fun to do. Just watch me do this. Watch me have fun. This is a fun move. Watch. This is a more advanced version. There, boom. So I'm doing some things that I haven't really mentioned to you yet, because we sort of have to get the basic structure of the move down first. I think the way to do this, I mean, you'll have the video of this, but I think what you need to do is have a notebook or a piece of paper or something, and write down the parts of this. Perfect.
You know, what's funny is that I have it up until move 12.
Well, there you go.
Not totally written. Yeah. So we're on 13.
Because
I was just remembering when I was first trying to learn to do it, I just turned it into a story.
uh-huh.
You know,
Yeah.
I just renamed everything and turned it into a story.
That's true.
And that's how I hung on to it.
You had a move.
I'm terrible at
You had a move called "Walk Like a Chicken," didn't you?
Yeah. No, well, yeah. In the first part of the move.
Oh, well, come here and tell me.
No.
Honey, nobody can see that.
Honey.
What Annie was just saying is when she learned this form years ago, the Chinese names didn't mean anything to her. and she didn't really know how to hold on to this, so she would forget. So the question is, how do you remember? And what she did was write everything down, and she would rename everything with words that meant something to her. So we might say, white crane spreads its wings, but to her the move was walk like a chicken. Well, it doesn't matter what you call it. You can call it anything. Whatever works for you is fine. And by the time she was done, she had she had a big notebook, like a school notebook, and she had, I think, 6 pages, single spaced on both sides of the paper, just to do the 24. So it was like a novel, right? And that was how what,
Learn it.
excuse me, what she had to do to remember it the first time. Otherwise, it just vaporizes.
It's just like when you try to remember somebody's name. You have to like,
You have to associate it with something.
yeah. I used to never be able to remember John Mellencamp's name
Yeah.
for some reason. And then finally it was like a melon and a cat. Melon. It was fine. So that's what I did with Tai Chi. It was
Yeah.
just like, okay, how can I remember that? Well, it reminds me of a funky chicken.
Funky chicken. Huh? Funky chicken. The funky chicken. Um, whatever tricks work for you, they're fine. Um, some form of association is usually the best thing. So call the parts of the moves, or call the moves anything you want to call them. It doesn't matter. Whatever works for you. Until you get it memorized. I've told you guys before. I'll tell you again. The hardest thing you will ever do in Tai Chi is this form. The first time through this form, because you're starting from ground zero. By the time it might take 2 years to get done, but by the time you get this form done, you will know a great deal. You'll know more than you know you know. And when you go on to more advanced versions of this or more advanced forms, it'll be much easier.
Yeah,
What?
because basically when you go to the 48 and the 83,
Yeah.
it's basically just a lot of repetition. So then it's more choreography. But if you have the base,
Well, it's more. I know what you're saying, Jill, but it's more than just repetition. There are, in the 83, for instance, there are many quite difficult moves,
uh,
much more difficult than in the 24. But they're based on the same principles. So what you've had a chance to do when you learn the 24 is you've learned the principles. Even if you don't consciously know them, you still have learned a great deal about them and about how to move your body in a way that will allow Tai Chi to happen. And so when you go on to more advanced forms, it's easier. It's easier than doing the first form. Yeah, Jill.
Well, I don't want even to go to an advanced form. I just want to know the 24th. That's my goal. I mean,
I think that's a good goal. That's a very good goal. What I'm saying is it is not easy to learn this form. It's just not. Most people never learn it. They learn maybe the first section, the first 6 moves, and that's it. Yeah, like Jill, and that's it. It's too difficult, and that's true when you're working in person. It's even harder when you're working on video. Harder
yeah,
for
it
me,
is.
harder for you.
Anyway,
Anyway, this move that we're doing here is is actually a very simple move to do because you know the parts. But the process of going from not knowing it at all to knowing it really well is difficult. It just takes some time to do this. You're not going to get it in one section. My own experience learning this form. I went through this form with Master Zhang because I counted them at one time 12 times in detail, 6 times in private lessons and 6 times in the public class. And then in addition, there were a lot of other partial things, partial learning. So not just the whole form, but maybe a section or a move, right? And in that process, I'll bet you I went through it 4 or 5 times before I really got the whole thing. And I'm not talking at a high level. I just mean the basic choreography. There were places where I just forgot things. There were places where I didn't understand there was supposed to be something. There were other places where there was just a hole in there. And it literally took a couple of years, probably 4 or 5 years, before I got this form down, really got it down. Then once you get it down, then you can actually start working on it. When you get it down doesn't mean it's done. It means now you're starting, right? Now you're actually starting on it. And I was not a particularly fast student, but I wasn't particularly slow either. I was just kind of average. It takes everybody that long. It wasn't just me. Everybody takes a number of years to learn this. Now, it might be different if you have nothing else to do in life. You have nothing else to do except Tai Chi all day long, all right? Then maybe you would learn it more quickly. But really, realistically, very few people have that opportunity in their life. Everybody's got to learn the way you guys are learning. You have a couple of classes on the weekend. That's it. Well, you can't do very much in one 1-hour class. You can just do a little tiny bit. And then you have to practice, and then next week we'll do another little tiny bit. And you just keep eating those little tiny bits until you get the whole elephant. Jill, how do you eat an elephant?
One bite at a time.
One bite at a time. This is the only way to get this. Now, I'm telling you these stories about getting the whole thing because I want to encourage you. Once you get it all, you pass into a different country. In this new country, you know it. Now you can start working on it. Well, what do you mean working on it? Smoothing it out so it starts to flow. All right? Do either of you do watercolor?
I have.
Yeah, all right. Watercolor is the simplest medium. It's also, in a way, the most difficult medium because it's so delicate. All right? If you want to learn to watercolor, you're going to spend years figuring out how to do it. Because watercolors are made from earth, different kinds of earth. Some of them are minerals, like the blues and the reds. Some of them are literally just earth, like the browns and the yellows. And they react with each, they're different. They're just different. They're not the same. So the way a blue interacts with water and paper is completely different than the way a green interacts with water and paper. And you have to know that. It's not knowing it up here. It's like you've got to know it in your hands. You've got to just understand that. The way a really good cook cooks. Some cooks are magical. How do they do it? They got the same kitchen, the same knife, the same vegetables. One cook makes something that's, another cook uses exactly the same thing and makes something that's magical and wonderful. How do they do it? How do you get the magic? How do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice. All right. So the advanced class should be coming in here in just a moment. Yes. Oh, okay. So Kevin's internet is down because of an ice storm. Wow. Nasty. So Rand will be showing up here in a few minutes. He always comes in late. Anyway, guys, whatever you do, don't get discouraged because this is complex.
It's just tonight.
Just keep going. Just keep going. You will get it. Absolutely, I guarantee it. You will get it as long as you keep going and keep trying. So we will work on this again next weekend, and probably by the end of next weekend, you will get this move. We'll next weekend we'll break it down into brush your chest. Brush your chest. What are you doing when you're brushing your chest?
So Malcolm, before we end, can you just tell us the different names for the move? I mean
For the parts of the move?
Yes, the different parts. Yeah.
Well, the first part of the move overall is called Green Dragon Emerges from Water, and then it turns into double push hands. So Green Dragon Emerges from Water is this move here. All right, and then comes double push hands. All right. And if there are the bits and pieces of it are backhand, temple, backhand to the temple, point, side punch, that is the side of the hand, side punch. All right. Grab and pull back, wind up, push. All right. Turn your toes in, step up, pung, on, walk through, brush the chest, open the hands, right? Brush the chest, open the hands, hands in front of the chest, 1, 2, big step forward and push. It's a big step forward. I'll show you why. All right. You want to get in there on the guy.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, thank you.
You bet. Okay, so practice with what you got. Just try and get as much of the move as you can, and we'll pick it up again next week and work on it until you've got it. Okay, we'll see you next week. Ciao.